Man, you all know I always question whether this guy is really imperishable, but we don't see him that often. Is Settra amazing on his Chariot of the Gods? Well, one viewer sent me some replays that he thinks proves that that may just be the case. Let's jump in and check it out. This video is brought to you by my awesome sponsor MSI. Go check out my latest review video on their B360M mortar motherboard for a great way to make your own affordable Intel 8th generation gaming system. Alright, let's jump into the Tomb King's army build featuring Settra the Imperishable on his Chariot of the Gods. Not a common pick that you typically see. So let me slow down my scroll speed so we're not jumping around so fast. So the Tomb King build has a few skeleton warriors, but there's also a considerable number of Tomb Guard. They're going to be found more towards the back though, so 4 Tomb Guards, 2 Skeleton Spears, 3 standard skeletons up front. We got a Lich Priest, Lore of Light, and he's rocking the Net of Amantok and Foz Protection, whereas we've got Settra here. He does not have any spells. He's just here to take down blobs of infantry and to be a menace. We've got 2 Ushabti with Great Bow, and then the Chosen of the Gods Ushabti with Great Bow, backed up by a Necropolis Knight with Halberds. So anti-large component, long range, potentially anti-large and anti-infantry component from the Ushabti, and a little bit of infantry holding power in the form of the 2 Guard, along with some throwaway units up front. Now right off of the bat, Shetland Apache and his Beastmen, let's take a look at them real quick from a higher level, because I can do this a little better. Well, I say that, it doesn't actually show me which, yeah, there we go. So Ungor Herds, and then he's got a couple of Centaurs. These are just standard Centaurs along with the Poison Warhound. It's a great combination. Khazrak on a Chariot. We've got the Bray Shaman Lore of Shadows. And then the main army was actually just cheap Ungor Herds that were meant to be backed up by Piggly Squiggly Razor Gore Herds, which these guys provide the throwaway hit points, and the Razor Gore Herds provide the hard-hitting anti-armor component. And then we've got some more Ungor Herds, another Chaos Warhounds with Poison, Harpies, and a Sons of Goros, Centaurs with great weapons. Let's hop back down to the battlefield and hit play and see how this one unfolds. Now, obviously the Beastmen spread out all over the battlefield, probably hoping to engulf the Tomb Kings from all sides, with lots of hard-hitting, maybe even fast-moving units, depending on where they're at. And here you're going to see this Ungor Herd gets caught way behind where it wants to be for protection, but the Khazrak is too afraid to come over here because of the Ushabti with Great Bow. And we're going to see just how quickly Settra and his Chariot, along with the help of his Lich Priest here, can get rid of a Tomb King's unit that goes unsupported. Not a big surprise. We're going to see the Ungor Herd run off the battlefield in a big hurry, so Settra coming out and being annoying already. He does not have Terror. I believe he's just got Fear. Let's look at, make sure we understand everything. He's weak to fire, but he causes fear, he encourages, and that's pretty much all that's on there, because the Tomb King's player is obviously trying to save money on what is otherwise an expensive lord with Settra. And if you look at the damage that he causes, let's just pin him up there. His anti-infantry component is significant. 25 bonus versus infantry, huge armor-piercing value. He causes magical and flaming attacks, which can make him useful against lots of units. You can see over here that the long-range firepower, especially that from the Ushabti of the Gods, looking awesome and being effective at warding off the enemy distractionary units like Harpies. These are definitely meant to be a component to try and tie down key units for an enemy army, and if used properly by a Beastmen player, they can be pretty frustrating, along with Warhounds and Warhounds with Poison. So, cheap units, don't underestimate them. They have a high value on the battlefield when used properly. So now we're going to see the Beastmen trying to form up for a main attack, but also being patient to make sure that all of their forces are in position while keeping Khazrak safe back here. Shetland Apache is a good player. He's got a lot of time, and he is no noob when it comes to Total War Warhammer 2. Nice Melkoth mystifying miasma here from the Bray Shaman of Shadows. Again, all of these units are keeping a respectful distance at this point. It is kind of strange that we're going to see this Ungor Herd come in unsupported. I don't know if this is meant as a distraction, but for whatever reason the Ungor Herd was either misclicked or being brought in maybe as a distractionary force. One of the two, but it's obviously going to get shut down in a big hurry by Settra. You can see him getting the rear charge here with the Chariot, his massive anti-infantry damage, doing big splash damage. He's obviously really good on the charge. He's already got 35 kills from just a couple of collisions with infantry units, so this guy is no joke. This guy is no joke. Here come the Harpies. They're going to attempt to basically distract the Ushabti with Great Bow, but I believe this is probably the main reason why the Necropolis Knights with Halberds are brought, because they can clean out this type of thing extremely quickly. Warhounds, Harpies, all those things would die in a big hurry. And speaking of Warhounds and Harpies, here comes round 2, along with the Sons of Goros crashing into this flank. They're going to do a lot of damage to that Tomb Guard. Look how badly the Sons of Goros wrecked that Tomb Guard on the charge. But here comes the Necropolis Knights with Halberds. Now, Poison Warhounds combined with the Sons of Goros can do massive damage to just about any unit, but when these Necropolis Knights with Halberds get the charge like this, these Sons of Goros are gonna take a beating. They're not gonna instantly implode, but they're gonna take a beating. See Settra just charge straight into the enemy infantry lines. He's already up to 90 kills, and Khazrak has come straight on in too. They're attempting to shut down the Ushabti with the Great Bow, but it's not exactly gone well for him so far. You can see now Khazrak even being attacked by Settra the Imperishable, so we got Chariot on Chariot combat here, Ben-Hur style. Except neither one of these guys looks like Ben-Hur. Comes some Centaurs to help out, some Poison Warhounds. Against low armor units, Poison Warhounds combining with Centaurs is a very potent. And you can see here the Beastmen combining to try and hit hard. Now the problem you get with the Tomb Kings for this type of strategy is that the Tomb Kings do not rout based on leadership. Now they can crumble, but they're not going to rout. And as the Tomb Kings die, you can see the healing is taking place. And now the Realm of Souls is full. And you can even summon the Ushabti, which comes up here to trap the Tomb Kings to where now there is no getaway. They've charged in. They're being held by Spearmen and Necropolis Knights, and now the Ushabti close the door. And the Beastmen are going to find themselves in a very difficult position very quickly. See the Bray Shaman being escorted off the battlefield by Settra. He's managed to pick up 97 quick kills already. Comes the Sons of Goros continuing to try and do their work. They were not killed by the Necropolis Knights. They were able to get away. You can see the pigs combining nicely with the spearmen. Of course, it was just against skeleton warriors, but it's an interesting combination. But in this case, the Tomb Kings have just shut down the Beastmen hard. The leadership for the Beastmen was forced to flee. Khazrak fled all the way out here after being damaged badly, and at this point, there's going to be a chain rout because the Tomb Kings have managed to put a big beating. Put a big beating on Apache's Beastmen army. And I'm not saying that to be mean to Apache. It's just this is a well-picked Tomb Kings army that gave him some big problems. And I don't know how Beastmen match up against Tomb Kings as a whole. Personally, I would prefer Beastmen matching up against a faction where I think I could play on their leadership a little better, like a state troop type army from the Empire, or the Greenskins, or something else that I think that I can prey on poor leadership. That would be the way I typically would want to deal with it. But in any case, I've got another replay here to see how this army functions against another high-tier player, because this army obviously was something that the submitter wanted you all to understand a little bit about what Settra can do on his chariot. All right, get your chariots ready, folks. Tomb Kings Ben-Hur style. Part 2. Part 2. Yep, we got another battle here for you, featuring Settra and his Chariot of the Gods. Once again, we've got some Ushabti with Great Bow. Let's give you a feel for the entire battlefield. We've actually got a couple of skeleton chariots escorting Settra I almost called him Settra the Perishable. I'm just so used to Settra the Imperishable. And here we go. We got a front line of skeleton warriors. There are the Nakesh's Scorpion Legion in the back with some more skeleton spears. And in the far back, no, I'm thinking of a different battle. There is no far back. So we've also got the Blessed Legion here. So some pretty significant firepower between the two Ushabti and the Blessed Legion. And then way back over here we have some Carrion who forward deployed. And let me turn up my scroll speed so I can head across the map, and let's go check out the Skaven army of Rigson. So it's going to be an interesting army here. He's got a Storm Vermin up front. In fact, I believe there's a couple of Storm Vermin at least. Here's another. So 2 Storm Vermin with sword and shield. probably a solid pick versus the Tomb Kings for the most part, because their little bit of extra armor and tankiness is going to actually make them fairly effective against most Tomb Kings infantry. So, not to say they can't be killed, but interesting pick indeed. There's a Storm Vermin with Halberd. There's a Plague Monk Censer Bearer. Let's run through the rest of these. Another Storm Vermin. So 3 Storm Vermin with Sword and Shield, 1 Halberd, 1 Plague Monk Censer Bearer. There are some Skaven Slave Spears around the flanks, a Hell Pit Abomination, and then several Skaven Slave Slingers strung throughout here. And then floating in his own cloud of stink is Skrulk, surrounded by his own plague, which comes from many, many decades of not wiping his own butt and eating at all-you-can-eat rat buffets every day. It's pretty gross. Even the Hell Pit Abomination gets turned off by that. In any case, yeah, that's the Skaven army. You can see that there is a Plague Claw, or sorry, 2 Warp Lightning cannons as well. So, Tomb King army is actually going to get pretty challenged here from a ranged component. So we'll see whether Settra can be effective here. Also, Skrulk is pretty effective at taking down hit points on single units with the Liber Bubonicus. You can see the first Storm Vermin becoming the first victims of Settra, who just comes plowing in with his chariot, uses his explosion to break himself free. That's a very handy ability if he's going to get bogged down in infantry. So bust his way through and takes 12 Storm Vermin with him. And you can see that Settra is just going to come forward while the Carrion lay down the distraction in the background. And he's going to put another run on these Storm Vermin. Let's catch that one up close once again. So huge anti-infantry damage. After a second pass through, you're already down to 98 Storm Vermin. And the Carrion here being used to good effect. They can't stop the Warp Lightning cannons from firing, but they are causing a blob of Skaven units and hopefully giving the Ushabti with Great Bow a chance to do some work. You can see the Chosen of the Gods firing in. They've got a nice blob to shoot at, and their weapons do pretty good damage against blobs like this because they split up like that. See, the Warp Lightning cannon actually took a hit right there too. So the Carrion able to do distractions for now. And then the Skeleton Chariots are going to have to watch out because the Hell Pit Abomination's about to track them down. But over here, easily mopping up Skaven Slave Spears. They don't have much armor, but if you can keep them moving, Skeleton Chariots can actually be pretty effective. See back here, Settra actually is getting bogged down. And he did get hit by the Liber Bubonicus, and he's now using Nehru's Incantation of Protection to keep himself safe because he doesn't want to perish. Bring him to his chariot, folks. Bring him to his chariot. So these poor Storm Vermin have already been hit twice by Settra. They're going to be hit a third time. You can see they're actually holding up pretty good against Skeleton Warriors. It's really Settra that's ruining them. He's already got 61 kills. The Skaven infantry's having a bad time of it. They don't do well with leadership. And you can see at this point the Warp Lightning cannons have become so distracted and bogged down that the Ushabti with Great Bow are sitting back here doing their thing. There's 2 of them along with the Chosen of the Gods. The Chosen of the Gods has already racked up 50 kills. So the kills are mounting. Now you can see Skrulk pushing in. He's really trying to get a hold of Settra. The Blessed Legion back here as well. Gonna have to be careful. The summoned Ushabti actually comes way back in the background to help take out the Warp Lightning cannons. Probably a good call. Settra gets away, but he's still taking fire from the Warp Lightning, and the Bubonicus hurt bad. The Skeleton Chariots, though, doing a nice job helping wrap up the Storm Vermin up front. And then the Plague Monks got involved up here earlier as well, if I remember right. There's some Plague Monks here. The Plague Monk's Censer Bearer actually got torn up already, I think, by some chariots, if I remember correctly. I missed it. Look at this Storm Vermin. It got routed. Comes some clan rats, so the Skaven trying to summon up the works here. The Tomb King's just trying to hold their own. The Hell Pit Abomination's in here. You see the chariots making their way for random blobs across the battlefield. Let's get a look at the overhead again. See the chariots picking off, routing Skaven units, an excellent use for them. And then here where the Storm Vermin were fixed upon the Ushabti, great way to charge in and cause an inordinate amount of damage. Settra being used in the same deal to chase down routing units. You can see here the Ushabti now targeting the Hell Pit Abomination, seeing if they can take it out, because Skrulk and his Hell Pit Abomination and these other units are causing substantial damage. But he's a pretty easy target for these Ushabti with Great Bow. So you can see that the Hell Pit Abomination is routed. But Skrulk did manage to punch through. You can see the summoned clan rats. I believe the plague monks are summoned as well. Is that 2 summons? I can't tell for sure, but I think they're both summons. So Skrulk is summoning up more units, and he's able to tie down these archers and these skeleton spears, but he's running out of support units. Yeah, here's the regrouped Plague Monk Sensor Bearer. Not even a lot of kills per se right now. And you can see the Tomb Kings sitting on some extra units even, but here the Liber Bubonicus gets a hold of Settra and darn near kills him. Re-kills him? De-animates him? I guess whatever you want to call that. He's down to 600 hit points, and he's going to have to keep his distance, though I think Liber Bubonicus only gets 2 uses, if I remember right. So it'll be spent at this point. Skrulk is going to have to try and plague his way through this one, killing everybody with his offensive odor. Oh my goodness, this game is beautiful. Just look at this. Can you guys even wait for Warhammer 3? I'm like already hyped. Sooner the better. Sooner the better. Though I don't think it's coming anytime soon. I think it's going to be a while. In any case, you can see this is actually a pretty close fight. Skrulk and his vermin here are fighting their way back into this one, but they've still got Settra alive. And the other big problem is these Ushabti are still alive. And they're causing extreme damage to key units, like this Hell Pit Abomination that's regrouped. Could be a clutch unit because it does regenerate. See here, it's taken extraordinary damage and actually drops, which is going to leave Skrulk on his own. But you can see it still says the balance of power is not entirely in favor of the Tomb Kings, though in all reality it is. And it's because the Ushabti with Great Bow also have armor-piercing melee attacks and should do pretty well. But don't underestimate Skrulk. The guy is a squeaky little tank. Disgusting little tank, actually. Can't underestimate him. Check him out in there flinging skeletons around everywhere. Looking good, Skrulk, looking good. Do your thing. If he had the Liber Mortis left, which I doubt he does, but if he did, it would do a lot of damage to this infantry blob that's got him surrounded. You can see the chariots again chasing off routing units. Settra is just keeping himself back at a safe distance, awaiting an opportunity. The Ushabti were coming forward, potentially try and get some shots. Let's fast forward for just a second. Skrulk's going to sit here and tank. The Ushabti decide to rout a regrouped Storm Vermin, which was a good choice. And indeed, you get, sorry, not the Liber Mortis, it was the Rod of Corruption. And so Skrulk's able to pretty much wreck most of the remaining infantry around him. Summons another clan rat, but it's going to be met immediately by some Ushabti, and clan rats are not going to like fighting that. But hey, anything Skrulk can get at this point is a help. But these clan rats appear to be destined to retreat. Look at those Ushabti. Gotta love that. Anyway, you can see the chariots plowing through. Here's Skrulk, and Settra's thinking about taking a run at Skrulk here too, but it's pretty risky. Because Skrulk actually does some pretty good damage, especially if you don't have huge armor. I mean, Settra does have solid armor, but he's in a pretty weakened state. You can see him trying to fight it here. It looks like Settra decides to keep himself clear, which is probably a solid idea. Without leadership here, Skrulk could potentially turn this one around. There's still some Skaven slave slingers back here that actually managed to take out one chariot unit, but I doubt they'll be able to down the other one before it gets them. There's a lot of chariots there. And Skrulk is starting to give way in the face of all of these Ushabti. Look both ways before you cross the road, Skrulk. It can get ugly. That Chariot of the Gods does look really cool, though it's not a common pick for obvious reasons. Settra in general doesn't seem like a common pick because of his extreme expense, but I guess when you take all of his spells off, he gets to be quite a bit cheaper. He actually still has a couple spells on him, or abilities, but the other battle not so much. So Skrulk finally calls it quits. Epic fight. What do you all think about this Settra the Imperishable on the Chariot of the Gods? It's pretty cool, isn't it? So, interesting. Seems to be putting it to good use. It seems like any time he's coming up against, and even the Beastmen aren't necessarily a faction where I would have thought that, but I guess it makes sense because the Beastmen typically will rely on a horde of infantry, cheap infantry, and so that infantry makes this army somewhat, wow. Skeleton Chariot, 424 kills and only a single chevron. That's how you know you were fighting the Skaven. So that right there is how you know you're fighting Skaven. Very nice use of the Shabti with Great Bow. They gave him that range component, and as he closed the distance, he was able to shut down the Warp Lightning cannons with the help of the Carrion, which ended up being very nice. And then Settra wreaking havoc behind the Skaven lines. Interesting pick, so many Storm Vermin here. 4 Storm Vermin units and a Plague Monk Censer Bear. That's quite a bit of expensive infantry on the part of the Skaven. They were definitely planning on trying to get into a fight with Tomb Guards, would be my guess. Sorry, I don't know why I got all tongue-tied there, but yeah, I'm guessing Rigson may have been expecting some Tomb Guard, but I could be wrong, because this definitely looks like it's meant to be countering the slightly better Tomb King infantry. But tell me what you think of Derp Maiden's build here. I thought this was pretty fun. I like to see the Chariot. I love seeing stuff different and seeing people figure out how to use the different stuff. And these players that you're up against, these guys aren't slouches either. So if there's any of those comments out there like, well, that player sucked, they just screwed up, man, they're yeah, not these guys. They're pretty good. Do they mess up? Sure, but they're good players. So I think it demonstrates that this is potentially a viable build in multiple situations. He actually submitted to me quite a few replays with it work, but I just wanted to show you those two because I thought they were good examples of it. Anyway, leave your thoughts if you enjoyed this. If you're not Skrulk, hit that like button. Helps me out a lot, helps other people find this video. And if you want to see more, hit the subscribe button, click the stupid bell so that you'll get the notifications and you can be there first when the next video releases. Speaking of the next video, I will see you there. Can't wait. HeirofCarthage, signing out.